These iris don't look like much right now, but a few weeks ago, as you can see by the old flower stalks, we had quite a flower display in here. This particular clump of iris is in a semi-abandoned garden, so you'll see a lot of things here that weren't done right, one of which is that the flower stalks are still here. They should have been removed right after bloom in order to prevent any seed from setting and weakening the plants. Also, we still have a lot of trash and dead leaves down there. We'll get into a little bit later the reasons why this should have been cleaned up. But even in a neglected garden, as you can see, these iris are still growing and still putting out a flower display. Besides being rugged, iris are a good perennial for Oklahoma because they come in a wide range of colors. Just about every color of the rainbow, including green. We have solids, bicolors, even some mixtures of three colors. So you have the wide color range, they're rugged, they also fill a very good niche. They come after your spring flowering bulbs, after your tulips, before your peonies, and following your peonies you start getting into your summer blooming annuals and your flowering shrubs such as abelia and your crepe myrtle. So they fill an important niche for continual flowering in your landscape. Now I mentioned how rugged iris are. Here you see they're still doing well. Iris can stand years and years of neglect. There's one spot on the nursery here where there's a bit of iris that's been competing with Bermuda grass for water and fertilizer for many years, still surviving. However, if you'll notice, they're not blooming at all. If you want a good floral display from your iris, you need to take good care of them. You don't really, just surviving is not good enough because leaves aren't that attractive to look at. You want those flowers. To do that, you need to take care of them. One of the several things that iris need, they need a well-drained soil. They like to have a good amount of fertilizer, just your ordinary garden amount, vegetable garden type rate of fertilizer. The type doesn't really matter, a 10-10-10, ammonium nitrate, fish emulsion, blood meal. As long as it gets that extra fertilization to promote good growth, the iris is happy. The other thing that needs to be done is frequent or relatively frequent division of the plant. Every 3 to 5 years, a clump of iris should be divided into smaller segments to keep it from getting overcrowded, to keep it growing vigorously, and to keep it flowering vigorously. The first thing we'll need to do in this old clump is clear away a little bit of the leaves. We'll try and break the clump apart so we can get a look at the rhizomes. You can shake the dirt out, or you can wash it out with a hose. Now, this one thing I want you to notice about these rhizomes or storage organs of the iris is that they have a direction. As they're growing, they move in the direction of the fan. So this rhizome will keep growing that way. These rhizomes, sometimes it branches, but they'll keep growing in other directions. These older rhizomes back here are starting to get rotten. To have a good division, we need to separate out some of these younger tips. You want to remove 1/2 to 2/3 of the foliage. Leave several inches of good clean rhizome and several of the feeder roots. And now we have a division ready to go and be planted. You can use small divisions such as that, or a larger division such as this. The larger division will give a better floral display earlier, but because it will be a larger plant, you'll need to divide it sooner than if you started out with a smaller division. Well, let's take our divisions And we're going to plant them in our studio garden where we can take better care of them than they're getting here in this garden. When you make your divisions, make certain that you only take healthy rhizome tissue and healthy leaf tissue. If you see any signs of insect damage or fungal rot or bacterial rot, don't use that as part of your divisions. Don't transplant any disease or insect problems into your new area. Now, the time to be taking your divisions, the best time is right after the iris have finished blooming. That way you get the benefit of that year's blooms, but you still have quite a bit of the year left for the plant to establish itself. You can transplant in the spring. The plant does fine, but you usually sacrifice that year's blossoms. And you want to leave yourself at least 1 month before the first frost to give the plant plenty of time to establish itself before it has to hit the winter and survive. Once you get all of your divisions ready, it's usually best to plant them in groups of 3, all pointing out from the center. Remember, these divisions and the rhizomes grow in one direction. Have them grow away from the center rather than all crowding in the same direction and meeting in the middle. Dig your hole plenty deep so you can get your roots down. And you want to plant that rhizome about 1 inch below the ground surface. Your groups of rhizomes, place them about 15 to 18 inches apart. That'll give plenty of room for it to grow. You can put them together closer, but that just means you're going to need to divide them much sooner. In addition to there being many different colors of bearded iris, they also come in different sizes. The regular grows about 4 feet tall. There are dwarf iris, which only grow just a few inches tall. They grow very much the same way. You can see the rhizomes very similar. They're just on a much smaller scale. Now, iris are rugged, but they're not completely problem-free. Iris borer can be a definite problem in an iris planting. You can control iris borer by using 3 insecticide sprays, 1 week apart, starting when the new leaves in the spring are just 2 to 3 inches tall. You can also do quite a bit to control iris borer by removing all of the old foliage and all the old trash from on top of the iris plants, removing them and destroying them each fall. The iris borer eggs are laid in that trash, and if you can remove it, you can interrupt their life cycle. So German or bearded iris, take a little bit of care to get them growing well, but if you take the time to do all of what you need, they're long-lived and they can reward you with many blooms in a wide variety of colors for many, many years.